Okay, hello, nice to see you all. So we're going to start off today's session with a little bit of neck mobility and then working down into the thorax and the shoulders, and then working down the body and getting some leg strength stuff going on, and then integrating all of that together. So to start off with today, we're just going to do a little bit of neck range of movement. So dropping down, looking up as far as you're comfortable, dropping down. Great. Okay. And then side bend, just as far as comfy. Try not to jut your chin out. Okay. So that you're trying to take this from the middle of your neck. I'm going to wake up a few things. It's enough for me. And rotating. And again, you want a more or less neutral spine so that you're not tucking up or down in order to get your rotation, and only go as far as you can. I've got quite a lot of movement really, but a lot of people will only be able to get to there before they start side bending. So just try and keep your movement as pure as you can. Fantastic. Okay, rolling a single shoulder. And I'm just keeping my knees soft, and I'm trying to keep an awareness of the pressure into my heels, and what we call a tripod of pressure. So under the pad of your big toe, the baby toe, and the heel. So the toes are quite loose on the ground. Okay, and then we're going to cross over the body and open out. Cross over and open out. We had our burst pipe last week in the house, and we haven't quite had it all fully prepared yet. So I've got the heater blazing in here, the fire rather. We haven't had any central heating or hot water. Fortunately, the shower is electric, and the washing machine and the dishwasher. Good. So again, thinking of that tripod of pressure on your feet. Okay, going the other way. Okay, and closing across your body and open out. Close, open out. As part of the EP program that I do, we had an interview or kind of guest speaker in Perry Nicholson yesterday, who does Stop Chasing Pain. He's big into lymphatics, and so he was talking us through the way he goes through the lymphatic system. So I've kind of used some of that to put it into the workout today and stimulate this lovely bit of movement. So let's get the breath engaged, the lymphatics moving, reduce our stress, drop your chin down, soften through your sternum, and you're rolling all the way through. Keeping those knees soft, try and keep the tripod of pressure. Let your legs go wherever they're going to. And it's quite nice just to cross your arms at the bottom there and just sway a little bit. You can just circle your arms. And just feel like you're pulling them down to the ground. Really tractioning out through the shoulders and the shoulder blades. Great, rolling back up. Okay, and one more time. And really kind of think of dropping through here, coming through here. Let the belly relax so you kind of get this massage of the gut. So we're going to drop through. Great, and coming back. Okay, so now we're going to do a seated thing. So this is a new exercise I've been playing with. And I did a course a few years ago with a woman called Lisa. She's the physio for the Australian Ballet, and she runs some brilliant courses called the Ballet Blog. And she does things called pelvic tilts and tucks, where you combine angles of movement to get the pelvis working. Now I'm going to refer this into the thorax. So we're going to start off, cross your arms, okay, over your chest, and then you're going to rotate. So I want you to just let your pelvis tuck under slightly and push your heels into the floor. So not so that you're pulling your toes up, but just so that you're feeling a little bit more anchored through the back of your pelvis and through your legs. And you're going to rotate one way, okay, and then you're going to side bend. So keep your heels anchored and just let your rib cage go one way and then the other. And just figuring out which way is harder for you. Okay, now that way to the left there, outwards is harder for me. So I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to tuck and lift and tuck and lift. Okay, and now I'm going to see if I've got a little bit more motion that way, and I do. So let's go the other way. So just so you can see this side on, I'm kind of on the edge of the chair. You're going to tuck your pelvis under slightly and anchor through your heels. I'm going to rotate, and then I'm going to side bend through my rib cage. And again, it's out. That way is more uncomfy, more difficult. So I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to flare my ribs up and bring them down, and flare up and bring them down. And same as when we do it in the pelvis. You've got to really concentrate to try and keep all the angles of movement. And then we're going to see, and again, I've got a little bit more play with the movement through here. So quite nice just to get a way of increasing our rotation, because our rotation is never a single vector. It comes in with the other movements. So we try and play with that a little bit. So reaching behind you, keeping this fairly neutral pelvis, anchoring with your feet so you feel really stable in your lower body, connected to the ground. Brilliant. Okay, and then we're going to go through again the Zercher bulldogs that we did last time. So again, this is a Monica exercise. And the idea is to get the lower ribs to come down and engage through your tummy here, but start lifting through here so that we don't come down but lose at the top of our sternum. Okay, so just going to hold over the top of my arms like that. So I'm going to connect down with those lower ribs as I breathe out, slightly tucked to my pelvis and anchored through my heels. So take a breath in. As I breathe out, I'm going to compound this connection, but I'm going to start to come up through here. And you'll find the point at which you just start moving your elbows and without moving anything else. So that's the point at which you stop and then take a few breaths. So trying to breathe into your back and connect down the front. And I'm reconnecting in those lower ribs, and I'm going to see if I've got a little bit more movement that I can play with. Okay, I'm really going to anchor down. I'm going to squeeze my elbows together a bit more to give me space at the back. I'm holding those lower rib down so that it forces the air to come up to the top of my back. I find this really hard to access this upper part. It doesn't want to move in me. I'm very locked down around my throat and my upper chest. Here it comes. but I can only get there by releasing a little bit of my low ribs. So I'm coming back down, anchoring. And I'm really thinking about my collarbones moving through all of this. So it's trying to get this bit here, which also means that I'm moving my upper a couple of ribs at the back. And we want to get this pump handle moving through our back. One more breath. Good. So it helped me there to actually start to move my elbows a little bit on the in-breath now that I've done a few reps. So it's really worth it, even using this as an isolated exercise and a stretch if you need a break from your desk, just to really try and get that mechanism working a little bit more. Because when we're here, we're like, meh, and we're like really closed. But actually what happens is that we can't get into our back either. So as much as we want to open here, it ends up really compressing the back more. So we kind of have to keep this balance of letting the back expand, but keeping this all open at the same time. Okay, so we did an exercise last time as well, which a few people messaged me and said, oh my God, I really love that one. So we're going to do this again. It's called the inverted rock back. So I've just taken a couple of books and a block. I'm just going to put my screen down a little bit so that you can see me there. And I'm just about finished with a chair, so I'm going to take that back. Oh my God, I'm right in front of the fire and I'm roasting. Okay, so we're starting off here and we're coming into this position. Okay, so you can do this against the wall. So you've got either your heels or sometimes your toes is quite good because you kind of accentuate this connection through the back of the thighs. So you're anchoring your pelvis and you don't want to be arched. Okay, so you want to slightly let your pelvis tuck and let your lower ribs, this is the key bit, let those lower ribs come down. Your elbows can be quite close together. They can be quite close to the book. They can even press into the book. So you can put another book in front and press into the edge of that. So you get some resistance through here, which again really helps to open this bit. And take your hands apart. Okay, so like we just did in the Zercher Bulldog, I want you to think about when you connect your low ribs here, and you're trying to get your breath in at the top, slightly lifting the collarbones as you hold that. Okay. Good. Okay. Normally, like 3 or 4 breaths on that is enough. And then you can always revisit it. Okay. And you can also now like retry that Zercher Bulldog and see just if you've got any more in there. So anchoring down with those lower ribs. And I've got a little bit more movement that's available to me as I come up through here. If I squeeze my elbows, I've absolutely found my point. And you can play around a little bit. One of the things that I did before was pushing my right elbow forward. You can do the same a little bit with your knee so that you're creating a rotation that way. But really don't let it side bend you. Really try and keep this connection through here and the length through here. Great. Okay, it does start to increase. And it's really worth spending a little bit of time on just doing that to access these different muscles, because the two muscles that will anchor us most out of unhelpful patterns are this left oblique through here and your left hamstring, which is why we always end up using those two an awful lot in creating an anchor point to then create more movement and what we call this positional breathing. Okay, so right, we did the adductors and the glutes last time. A lot of you couldn't see my feet, so here we go again. Okay, and I think you can see me pretty well this time. So I'm on the foam roller. I'm going to use the blue foam roller so that you've got. Okay, that's better. Okay, so you want a 90-90, okay? So I'm even going to shuffle back. So my ankles are at 90 degrees, my knees and my hips. I need to get a tiny bit closer. Okay, there we go. So you're going to tuck your pelvis under, okay? And anchor your ribs, pushing your heels into the wall. Okay, I'm then sliding my top knee up and squeezing down. Okay, back again. Sometimes takes a few to get into the swing of it. And if you don't quite have the range of movement, you can put something, again, a block or something between your knees. All right, I'm going to come further back because I'm not being helpful to my feet here. Okay, heels, heels, heels. Okay, there it is. I couldn't find my heels, so I wasn't able to find my adductor. So I couldn't keep my heels against the wall, which makes it really hard to get that adductor bit without losing the pelvic tuck. I haven't been doing my feet exercise so much this week. It really shows. So I'm just going to kind of come up because you can see me a little bit better in this light. So if we're here, what I'm doing is tucking my pelvis under, and then this leg is sliding up the other leg so that I create a shift backwards. So from the side, if I'm tucking, my heels are in contact with the ground, and it's kind of like I'm pulling this side back, okay, and then squeezing in and getting that contact in the adductor. So if you think of that in the sideline, okay, and then we go on to the glutes, and I am going to keep contact with the floor, with the wall this time. Okay, so now the foam roller is between my feet, okay, and we're going to kind of get this sliding, so the bottom knee is going to come back and the top knee is going forward, okay, so you're getting this slide. So again, I've tucked, I've made contact with my heels, and I'm going to slide forward, and I'm pushing up into my top knee. So we're really getting access to this. Great. Okay, so I've done 8 of those. We're going to go into the bear planks. So we're going to need this again in a minute. So here we are. Push that further back. Okay, so my heels against the wall. So I'm really going to try and make contact with my heels. I'm slightly tucking my pelvis. Breathing out, connecting with my ribs. Okay, I'm going to keep that heel contact and lift my knees. So I'm getting a little bit more of a tuck in my belly. My shoulder blades are open. So we're just breathing into our back. Breathing all the way out, connect those ribs. Just focus on the heels. Good. Okay, just take a quick breather. You can come down into child's pose for a sec if you want. You can bring it in that way. Right. And again. So, heels into the wall. Keep the pelvis tucked. Connect the lower ribs as you breathe. Try not to let your head hang here. Brilliant. Okay, right, I'm going to take it up one level. So if you found that that was kind of enough of a challenge, you're really keeping the pelvis tucked and the heels in contact with the wall, that's totally fine. You can just do that one again. And we're going to take it up to the Nordic there. So we're going to bring the foam roller in. So here you have to really pull the pelvis down onto the back of the femurs, the back of your thighs, and squeeze in. Okay, so I'm tucked in my pelvis, I'm connected in my low ribs. Going a little bit forward, and really squeezing on that foam roller. Go harder with the left if you can. Break if obviously you're going to cramp. One more. Awesome. Okay. Right. Coming up. So we're going to use our foam roller going into some wall squats. Okay. So you can put a block between your knees if you're struggling to get your range of movement. And just put this a little bit higher up. Okay, so about bottom of your shoulder blades is a helpful level. Again, tucking your pelvis, connect your ribs, feel your heels and the tripod of pressure. As you come down, you're not doing that. Obviously, if you want to take up a level, just hold a kettlebell or something. does make our hips work very differently, and our knees. And this is great for our knees to get this range of movement. But this is a really nice way of loading your legs and your pelvis and challenging the core a little bit without really feel like you're going to blow your knees. You know, if you've got OA and you find some of those movements really difficult or scary, then really encourage you to get that movement, because movement is the best thing for your joints and your length. Okay, fab. So the last thing I want to do in this leg series before we move on to the abs is Zercher Squats. So we're coming away from the wall. We're going to hold the block between, so your feet are slightly narrower than hip width, okay? You can cross your arms here, or better, reach out in front of you. So you're going to slightly let your pelvis tuck, okay? Connect the ribs, and then just coming down through your knees. So your knees are leading. Normally with a squat, we lead with your ass, right? So you're not going to lead with your hips, you're going to lead with your knees. So let the knees come forward. Good. I'm going to put my feet ever so slightly closer together, and that's going to let me, with this block, that will let me go all the way down and back up. Keep your tripod. If it's too much, you don't want to use the block for this. Just keep that narrow stance, lead with your knees, let the pelvis tuck, and see what you've got. Obviously, if you don't have this range of movement, don't go there. Brilliant. Okay, right, we're going to come down onto our backs. I'm just going to move this chair back out of the way. Looking silly. Okay. So we're going to start off just doing toe taps. Okay, so just take a minute. Find where your body wants to settle on the mat. Where are your rib cage? Where's your pelvis, your lower back, your breath, your feet? So we need to feel that your feet are in line with your knees and your hips. And we need to get a sense of being really heavy through the back of your pelvis as it connects into the ground, but also really heavy in your feet. Just let your feet drop into the ground there. Okay. So now I'm going to keep some tension. So I call this the cross of wires. So I want you to feel, especially on the left, that as you breathe out, you anchor this rib down and connect it to the opposite hip, okay? And then I want you to feel like you're connecting the back of your pelvis really solidly into the ground. And those two things together should be enough to give you that traction into the ground, lifting one knee and then the other, without anything rocking or moving, okay? And then we're just going to do toe taps. So as you breathe out, you're connecting here, dropping down. And I want you to keep an awareness of this kind of traction into the ground and this left rib connecting across to the right hip. You can put in a reach so that you start to breathe into your back. And change the tempo of the movement of your legs. So you go just with the rhythm of your breathing, and then you go quite fast through it, letting your breathing doing its own thing. Focus on how that changes the need for more concentration on your points of connection. Where are you trying to adjust to cope with that extra demand? And then slow it right down. So you're only moving your leg down and up. The very end of your out breath, and really focusing on those connections. You see how I've got my arms at a bit of an angle and not up here? That keeps that upper back open. Okay, very good. Hopefully you got a little bit of awakening in your lower abs. So we're going to go into dead bug presses. So here, it's really similar to toe taps, but both legs up. I'm going to get you to push one knee up as the other leg goes away. Oh, fire! Push, push, push. Got to really concentrate. Keep those points in connection. Left ribs, back of the pelvis. One more each side. Because frankly, then I'm dead. Never mind the bug. Never mind the bug. Okay. Then we're going to do just legs. So we're going to reach, and you can. No, that's not going to work. I was going to go into the wall, but that's not going to work. So reaching, keep the pelvis tucked, keep your left rib to right hip connection. So you can see I'm slightly reached up here. I'm exaggerating that upper back availability. Okay, everything together. How are your contact points? This room is rapidly becoming a sauna. I can feel where I start to lose it. And you see how my right knee always wants to travel closer instead of staying in place. And it's because I lose the connection from that left rib to here, and coming up here means I don't have to stabilize as much. I've kind of gone into a lazy passive hip flexor activity really in a way. So really notice what you're doing. Those small movements make a real difference to how you're controlling things in your body and letting things work in the way that they should, the way that they really want to, even if it's slightly painful at the time. Okay, what I do want to do, just because I'm in that kind of mood, is see now, going back to the Nordic bears or bear planks against the wall, how much more you've got here as opposed to here now that we've done the dead bugs. So get that low, give it a squeeze, tuck your pelvis down. Okay. Now one of the, I don't want to make my arms too long because then I lose it in the middle. Okay, squeezing. Well, this, frankly, feels much easier. So this is where we could then, if you wanted to, add in something like bear plank sliders. So if you've got a wooden floor, use a tea cloth, or if you've got a carpeted floor, using maybe a dish plate or something else, slidey, can't think. But essentially where we're going, keeping that, I do actually have sliders, so I'll have them at the ready next week. But you're basically shouting is optional. Okay, very good. Right, we're moving on to feet, you lucky devils. So I'm just going to do this again, lying on my back. I might actually, let's just, I can slightly change this angle so that, that's going to be fine. I want you to be a little bit more in the line of vision of what I'm doing. Oops. Okay. You good? Oh, it's up close and personal, that is. Okay, so I'm going to start off further back, just for a sec, okay? And I'm going to check where I am. This knee can actually come up to 90 degrees. I just want to give myself enough room from the door. So what I want you to do, okay, very often, this is all about feet, right? So very often, when we lengthen our legs, we kind of pull our toes up, or if we point, then we kind of crunch our toes down. And often people do this to walk. They kind of walk with their toes, right? So what I want you to think about doing, this is very ballet toes, but it's very good for you. I want you to long toes, long toes, long toes, long toes, long toes, and you're pointing around with that pinky toe coming right out of your hip. Oh, it's evil. You will cramp for a minute. So let that go. Oh, let that go. Let it go. Or not. Okay. I'm going to go with the either leg because clearly my right leg's, fighting that. Point, long toes down with the pinky toe. I'm not going to go around too hard because that toe's going to. Oh, that one doesn't want to. Okay, so see how that feels for you. Clearly that middle part of my arch is very lazy and weak, and it's one of the things I've been really working on. So really try and get that working. And even if you only do that, like, for a second, 3 seconds, 5 times through the day, you will slowly improve the way that this arch starts to work for you, which means that you have it available without stiffening in the middle of your foot, which is what a lot of people do. We end up kind of coming round through the heel. So the heel kind of really comes around and we're very stiff on the outside of the foot and in the middle of the foot, okay? And then even if we kind of evert to go into pronation, it's going to be much easier if we stand up. If we evert, which is the rear foot, we're still really stiff in this bit of the foot, right? So we want to be able to let this bit of the foot soften in and break that tension in the middle of the foot through the bones, and not just letting the rear foot come in and then the middle of the foot still staying really stiff, yeah? So what we're doing by doing this exercise is allowing the strength and the muscle so that the joints don't have to get so involved to create that stiffness, okay? So like keep practicing it. Okay, now we're going to do the bridgey thing that we did last time. Oh, it's freaking tricky. Okay. Okay. I think you can see me all right. Okay. So we're just going to go up into this bridge on the wall first of all, and then we'll get the feet involved. Okay. So I want you to kind of tripod pressure on the wall. Feel as if you're pulling your heels down, that tuck your pelvis slightly under that way. So the back of your pelvis is coming onto the back of your femurs. What do you do with the ribs? Drop them in, integrate those muscles. Think about that left cross. Okay. Going up. Doesn't have to be all the way on these. It doesn't have to be high. Notice if you're gripping with your toes and just try and let them relax. Heels do your thing. Okay, brilliant. Okay, now we're going to do that thing where we're just off the ground here. Yes, so still tilted. Okay, we're going to bring one knee back up to our chest, keeping all of that. We're going to keep crush a grape with that big toe. Okay, crush a grape, and we're going to do the heel lifts. So you're lifting the heel, putting it down. Lift the heel, put it down. Okay, so the way that we progress this eventually is that we do this with a long lever, so your bum further away from the wall, and actually you're doing it on a foam roller in the middle of the room. So there's much less stability. It's kind of like a chaos exercise where there's more instability, and you're challenging your proprioception and lots of different types of muscle and nerve fibers. It's exciting. So don't be lazy with that heel. Don't just lift it and think you're done. Lift, 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 lift. Okay. Okay. Right, then I'm gonna let's just do the other leg at the same time. So I'm here, him in there. Okay, I'm just off, and I'm squashing a grape and lifting my heel. Honestly, all these foot exercises, so this is a slightly gross, but this foot I'm working now used to have a recurrent ingrown toenail. And this foot, this big toe used to just completely lock up. Honestly, I couldn't walk more than half an hour without limping. And since both doing these exercises and changing to barefoot shoes, I've completely resolved the big toenail issue, and I don't get nearly as much pain and creaking and cracking in this big toe. Every now and then, but it's not as painful, and I've got more range of movement. So it's really, really changes stuff. Okay, right. I don't like being on that edge. So I'm going to take, I'm actually only going to, because I've moved myself back, you don't need to move back. I'm just being on the edge of my rug, so I'm comfy. I am going to just slightly lift my heel, crush the gut, calling this now the crush a grape exercise, okay? So this is where you take your leg out to the side. Out to the side. Crush a grape, crush a grape, crush a grape, leg out. So this is really, again, this is working those joints and all those muscles through the middle of the foot, right? Getting that joint integrity nice and juicy to let it actually move. Wait till we get to my left leg. It's ridiculous. Got hardly any movement. Okay, brilliant. Again, slightly tuck under, crush a grape, and coming out. And coming out. Oh, come on. Come on. Okay, we're going to do it all again. You guys do another set. My other cameras come off, and it's important to have backups, as we know. So you guys do another set, please. Right, how you doing? I'm just going to redo my other leg, my left leg, my lazy one. Lazy left leg. Okay. Oh, relax the toes. Okay, there we go. A little bit less heel lift. Oh, come on. So annoying. La, la, la. Okay, getting there. Well done. Crush a grape, crush a grape, crush a grape, crush a grape. Okay, I've had enough of that. Now, where's my foam roller? Okay, we are going to do this with a foam roller against the wall. In fact, we're not. We're going to do it on the block next to the wall with your heel, okay, down. And I want you a little bit further away. So you're going to go into a bridge with the heel down, the other leg up. So tuck your pelvis, connect, cross from the left, okay, and lift. Now, this really kicks in very fast. So even if you only do 2 or 3, it's fine. Well done. Okay, that was, I don't know, 5 or 6. All right, my left side really wants to tuck forward. Coming up. Much harder. Okay, brilliant. Well done, guys. And there was something else I was going to get you to do just now. Oh, yes, right. Before we move away from this bridginess of life, I'm going to get you to one more fun thing. Okay, so you can be slightly long away from the wall because you're actually going to be straight leg bridge. Yes. Get your heels connected, so as if they're dragging down the wall. You good? I need to be slightly closer, otherwise I'm going to lose myself. Nobody needs to lose themselves. Okay, up, connected, heels with traction. You might find it easier to, okay, up and out just a little bit, even if it's only like 2 inches, because you don't want it to be a huge movement, otherwise you'll hurt yourself. Awesome. Okay, other side. When I can do that in a bridge position without getting pain here, I'll be so happy. Right, heel down. Actually, I haven't tried it recently, so maybe I should try that soon. Let go, you little left side. Right, we are nearly there, guys. We are nearly there. I have no idea what the time is. We've been quite long. Okay, should we make this the last thing? We'll just do this. And then we will stop. How about that? So you need a narrower stance than your normal lunge would be. Okay. So one heel against the wall, slightly narrower stance than your normal lunge would be. And this really gets into my tissues through here. So honestly, go very slowly, gently. It's not a lot of movement. Reach with your arms. You can't see me doing it, but reach with your arms. Keep that heel and keep that pelvis tucked. Obviously with your ribs. And then just let that front knee translate. Great. We want to see my foot collapsing the arch a little bit. I'm going to come more onto the rug, and I'm actually going to come slightly lower in my back leg. So you want to be really extended through the hip with the pelvis tucking down on the hip and the heel really pushing into the wall, but the knee slightly bent, okay? Those three things together are really important. And then you're just working that front leg, keeping everything else the same. You can do your reach if you want. I'm hot and tired, frankly. To be frank. Not the back knee. Do you see how I wanted to bend the back knee and lose my contact? And I'm really wanting to see this arch working, which it's not. So this is one of the reasons why I'm trying to do a lot more of this movement, to try and get this to soften through my midfoot. Because the more range of movement we have, the more we can do. And it's fine. I kind of feel like even if you want to improve, let's say, internal rotation or pronation, we need to get more supination or external rotation before we do that to be able to go back the other way. So sometimes we need to go a little bit more in the opposite direction to get where we want to go. And we definitely, when it comes to the feet, we definitely want to strengthen the muscles to allow the joints to chill the heck out, because they're really happy to lock together and create this stiffness, which we would need to propel ourselves, right? We need stiffness to propel. So we just want to be able to soften a little bit as well, because otherwise we're always propelling, running, moving, doing, right? So we want to be able to soften and come in and be zen. And on that note, I leave you. See you next time.